The Democrats have completely lost the plot. Check it out.
So as we're considering U.S. attorneys, it's worth paying attention to the mischief that is being done by this Department of Justice and, I guess, by the Director of National Intelligence.
Over the last few weeks, Democrats have set their eyes on Tulsi, going as far as accusing her of lying about the Fulton County raid involving 2020 election ballots, and she faced intense questioning over it in recent hearings.
If you want to ask the questions, you should have stayed in Congress. Please answer the questions.
I didn't ask you a question, sir. I'm trying to answer your questions.
And today, we're telling you everything about it. So, here we go.
The search and seizure of the Fulton County election records. Now, with respect to the Director of National Intelligence, she's also the coordinator of something called the Weaponization Task Force, the Weaponization Working Group. I call it Weaponization Task Force because it's WTF. I mean, seriously. Why would you want to have the person who started and is a key part of this so-called weaponization group, which works secretively within the Trump administration, exposed to the examination of a defendant if charges are brought? Why would you want to open all of that up? It makes no sense. So when you add all of that up, you're faced with the question, was this the most incompetent search warrant ever? Then the big lie in that search warrant affidavit is that they were pursuing evidence of a crime.
Now, for some context, the Fulton County raid came after Kurt Olsen, one of Trump's key campaign lawyers, now serving as the director of election security, referred claims about deficiencies in the county's 2020 election to the FBI. An agent then submitted an affidavit seeking a search warrant, saying, quote, "If these deficiencies were the result of intentional action, it would be a violation of federal law, regardless of whether the failure to retain records or the deprivation of a fair tabulation of a vote was outcome determinative or any particular election or race." Obviously, Democrats quickly criticized the move and zeroed in on Tulsi, largely because a photo of her surfaced online on the day of the raid. But she was not present at this specific debate, so she had no opportunity to respond or clarify her involvement. The issue came up again when Congressman Himes pressed her directly during a more recent hearing.
Director Gabbard, as was well covered yesterday in January, you were present at the execution of an FBI warrant at the Fulton County, Georgia election office at the direction of the president and to all appearances in connection with the president's false claims about the 2020 election. The unsealed affidavit submitted by the FBI made zero reference to foreign powers or outside interference. I don't want to relitigate the reasons why you were there, but I do want to know whether, as a result of your visit, there is credible intelligence in your possession pointing to foreign interference in Georgia in the 2020 election.
Thank you for the question, Ranking Member. As you know, over each of the previous elections, there is an ongoing effort by different foreign entities.
Ma'am, it's a very specific question. Is there intelligence in your possession relative to foreign interference in the 2020 elections? Very simple, straightforward question.
We are continuing to look at previous attempts to interfere in our elections and any ongoing threats that may exist for the upcoming elections.
Okay.
Now, we'll get to claims of foreign interference in a moment, but there's an important detail to clear up first. The DNI's presence at the raid was at the request of the president, and since he has the power to set the national security priorities, there is a reasonable argument that he has the authority to involve her in a situation like this without breaking any laws. On the other hand, Democrats pushed back, saying this move politicizes her position, and they argued, quote, "The DNI has authority set out by statute, and they don't include investigating past elections for potential fraud." So this remains somewhat of a gray area where both sides interpret the rules in ways that support their argument, because we definitely had previous DNIs focusing on domestic matters. In a separate hearing, Senator Mark Warner took a much more aggressive tone, but Tulsi stayed composed and continued answering questions.
Last year, when you were in already confirmed, it mentioned it at high level. Are you saying there is no foreign threat to our elections in the midterms this year?
As I stated in the outset of my remarks, this year's annual threat assessment matches the prioritization of threats and
Please answer the
focus
question, yes or no. Is there foreign threat interference
that
to
the
our
president
elections this
has
year?
laid out.
Are there foreign?
Please allow me to answer the question, sir. The intelligence community has been and continues to remain focused on any collection and intelligence products that
ma'am,
show a potential
ma'am.
foreign threat for those who are
So
seeking
far,
to
there has been none then, because you've made
in our
no
election
reports.
system.
Excuse me, ma'am. If you want to ask the questions, you should have stayed in Congress. Please answer the questions.
I didn't ask you a question, sir. I'm trying to answer your questions.
So you're saying the failure to provide any reports or the failure to have any mention of a foreign threat assessment, I would draw the conclusion there must be no foreign threat to our elections in 26.
Now, while Democrats focused heavily on the Fulton County raid, a lot is happening behind the scenes that rarely gets attention from mainstream outlets. For instance, last year, the federal prosecutor's office in Puerto Rico requested Gabbard's assistance as, quote, a result of extremely concerning cybersecurity and operational deployment practices with Puerto Rican voting machines. Another report from CBS Austin from June of last year revealed, quote, a confidential source told the FBI in the summer of 2020 that China's communist government was shipping fake driver's licenses to the United States. That was initially uncorroborated, but then the CBP reportedly captured 19,888 fake driver's licenses in July, all of which were headed to battleground states in the Midwest. Yet none of this came up despite Tulsi appearing in 2 separate hearings last week. But if we rewind a little bit, we'd see that this isn't something new for Gabbard, and she's been talking about securing our elections for years now. Take a look.
We have to take seriously the security of our elections because of the vulnerabilities that exist still now that really have the ability to undermine our democracy. There's a hacking conference that's held every year in Las Vegas where I think a 14 or 15-year-old girl from Florida hacked into a replica of Florida's election system in less than 15 minutes. There are too many states in this country who still don't use any type of paper ballot or have any paper record of the votes that are cast. So when you think about whether it's a foreign country or a rogue actor or a high school student who's going in with the intent of manipulating the outcome of the votes that we cast, that is the true danger to our democracy and to our elections. Well, the problem is that whether it's Republicans in leadership or Democrats in leadership, they're talking about how much they care about the security of our elections, but they've failed to do anything about it. They've failed to pass my legislation or other people who've introduced similar pieces of legislation. It's all talk.
Now, just to clarify, that was an 11-year-old boy, and the story was big enough back in 2018 that even Vox covered it. Overall, everything that's come out so far regarding the 2020 elections is still a matter of ongoing investigation, and it's been dragging on for quite some time. And some of it involves re-examining old claims. But the Democrats seem determined to make Tulsi their next target for one reason or another. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this story. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, keep thinking.